Absolutely clear. 10 tips for effective communication with colleagues. Effective communication with colleagues is the key to smooth workflow in the office. Unfortunately, this is much easier said than done. Lack of sensitivity and time pressure often lead to misunderstandings that make it difficult to work effectively and are detrimental to a good atmosphere in the office. We have put together 10 tips to help you improve your communication with colleagues. First, twice is better. Write down agreements. To optimize communication with colleagues, it is important to avoid unnecessary repetition. It is advisable to put verbal agreement in writing so that there is no ambiguity later on. This is especially important in respect of strategic decisions. Clear notes clarify communication, which enhances office efficiency. Second, build bridges, show interest and respect. When talking to your colleagues, you should show interest and, above all, respect for their opinions. This is particularly true if you don't share those opinions. You should refrain from using derogatory phrases such as "that's nonsense." Explain calmly and objectively why you disagree. Third, how is it going to work? Prepare for difficult discussions. Preparation is half of the battle. This is no different when it comes to communication. So, don't go into difficult discussions unprepared. It is important to be clear in advance what your goals are and how you can achieve them without disadvantaging your colleagues. Fourth, I noticed that formulate performance reviews as objective observations. Formulating performance evaluations so that the reviewee does not feel personally attacked is a real art, because people often define themselves by their performance. If this is criticized, it is often interpreted as a criticism of them personally. To avoid this, you should formulate performance evaluations as objective observations and back them up with concrete proposals for action. This way, the reviewee doesn't feel attacked and goes away with clear suggestions for improvement. Fifth, work is just work and nothing more. Don't take anger personally. We have already explained that criticism is often taken very personally. In addition to criticism, you shouldn't take outbursts of anger from your colleagues too much to heart either. Don't forget that they are only human and they make mistakes every now and again. For that reason, don't make too much out of such outbursts. Nevertheless, be careful. After an angry exchange, a clear, factual discussion should take place to eliminate any ambiguity in the situation. Sixth, I didn't mean it that way. Be more aware of your own communication. Of course, you always know exactly what you meant by a particular statement. For your colleagues, however, it can often be difficult to interpret your statements correctly. To avoid misunderstandings, you should be aware of your tone and body language. In particular, non-verbal signals can often give the wrong impression. Seventh, listen properly. Let your colleagues finish speaking. An important part of effective communication in the office is listening to your colleagues and letting them speak. If you have a lot to say yourself but never listen to others, you create an impression of indifference. Nevertheless, effective listening is a skill. You need to demonstrate through verbal and nonverbal signals that you have understood what the other person is saying. An obvious example is a deliberate nod to show approval. 8. Light at the end of the tunnel. Try to conclude disputes positively. Even colleagues who are friends sometimes argue. This is almost impossible to avoid. However, it is important to aim for a positive outcome even in complicated arguments. Of course, not every dispute will be resolved. However, you should convey to your colleague that ultimately a common solution needs to be found. This way, you demonstrate a connection to your colleague and facilitate a reconciliation, keeping the door open for a follow-up discussion. 9. You always do that. Try to avoid exaggeration. Many things at work are repetitive. When it comes to your colleagues' annoying habits, this can quickly lead to a negative atmosphere. If you want to address these issues, you should avoid exaggeration. Instead of using words such as always or never, you should give concrete examples. This will add credibility to what you are saying. For example, tell your colleagues precisely when they didn't empty the dishwasher instead of saying you never empty the dishwasher. 10th, be convincing, speak confidently and precisely. When communicating with colleagues, be sure to be precise. A healthy level of self-confidence also helps during office discussions. Why? When you are self-confident and clear in what you are saying, others are more inclined to actually believe you. On the other hand, if you do not completely believe in what you are saying, it will be extremely difficult to convince others. If you enjoyed this video and if you would like to see more interesting content, feel free to subscribe and visit our channel.